Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for coming and joining us this evening for the learning of Teres Hashem as we welcome in Saba and A.B. Spry and Baruch Ian, Irving Fishbaum, Harrison Kletzel, Shelley Zeitlin, Shalom Fogel, Aaron Swade, Abe Arbach, Pesach Siegelman, I'm not sure who, Galaxy A51, Nachman Chapler, Reb Kramer, who's here, holding the fort down here in the shul, and David Helfgott on Kol HaLashon. I made a bracha already, Rabbi Isai. Nachman was on just a few minutes ago. We just finished for the Shabbos table, and Shimon Klein is joining us. We are holding. We're holding on the new Mishnah on the bottom of Ayin Ches Amud Beis. The new Mishnah on the bottom of Ayin Ches Amud Beis, 4 lines from the bottom, as we're dedicated by Baruch Ian, taking us through this Masechta, Le'ilui Nishmas Avram.
We learned Ayin Tes yesterday.
What did I say? Yeah.
Ayin Tes.
I'm sorry. You're right. I'm a little tired. You're right. You're right. We're on the bottom. We're on the bottom of Ayin Tes Amud Beis, and we're holding by Amar Reish Lakish on the bottom line. Amar Reish Lakish on the bottom line. Dedicated by Baruch Ian, Le'ilui Nishmas Basyan, Yaakov Chaim Ben Abba, Abraham Ben Shmuel HaKohen, by Aaron Swade for his first wife, Chana Bas Shmuel, for his sister, Freda Bas Shol, by Mark Frankel, for Shalem, for Miriam Sarah Bas Zipporah, Chana Bas Gittel Esther, by Bert Goldwasser, for Hakor Satayv, for Hashem did for his family, for the Chayla Yisrael, Le'ilui for Shalema, for Avigdor Aryeh Ben Rivka, for Meir Ben Chayesor, Yudis Tzur Bas Miriam, for Ayelad Ben Chava. They should all have a refuah shalem and b'seich shar Chayla Yisrael. We learn for the safety of our soldiers in Eretz Yisrael, for the safety of Klal Yisrael, for the recovery of the hostages, for the refuah of those that are ill, as we welcome in Mel Zachter and we welcome in Avram Shenkman, who has graced us with his presence here this evening. Baruch Ian said that he cannot afford to take a flight every night. Otherwise, he would certainly come every night. You know, when he's here in Fairways, it's a long trip.
I'm waiting for sponsorship.
You're waiting for sponsorship. Okay. He's accepting a scholarship. Anybody wants to pay for him to come. Also, for an Uber for him to come from his house when he's here in Fairways. You know. Okay. Let me say, first of all, that the Mishnah is already done, because we have a Chumash here tonight, and also for the Shabbos table on Vayera is already uploaded to YouTube. It's in the process of being uploaded to Torah Anytime. It's already on Kol HaLashon. Now, Amar Reish Lakish, as we turn to to Pei Amud Aleph. Lo yishanu, that which we say, that if a woman who we know of her yichus comes back with children, and we see the children clinging to her, so that we assume that they're her children, lo yishanu ela b'katshei hagvul. That's only that if she was allowed to eat truma, then we could assume they're her children to the extent of them being allowed to eat truma. Aval b'yochasin loy. But when it comes to a question of their being able to marry, then that's not enough, the fact that they're clinging. Rabbi Yochanan Amar afilu b'yuchsin, even for yichus. This idea that when they're clinging, it's a chazaka, that they're her children, Rabbi Yochanan gives a lot of power to chazaka. V'az Rabbi Yochanan tameid, Am Rabbi Chibarabba, Am Rabbi Yochanan malkin ala chazakis. We will give a person a flogging, lashes, because of a chazaka. Soiklin v'sorfin ala chazakas, even without witnesses. A chazaka is enough that sometimes we will give capital punishment. We will stone and we will burn. However, the ain't sorfin truma ala chazakas, but we don't burn truma because of a chazaka. Even though the chazaka says that it's truma tamei, we don't burn it, we don't eat it, but we are toilin. We don't eat it, but we don't burn it. We let it decay on its own. But now the Gemara explains, where do we give malchus? Where do we give capital punishment? Where don't we burn truma? As we welcome in Yisrael Fisher, Eddie Chazan, as the Olam is Eddie Fisher and Yisrael Chazan were both for the Shabbos table, so they have to take a break. They can't listen to Rabbi Weiss, too many times in a row, of course, because they're going to want to hear the Chumash here, and so they need a little break.
Just want to mention, Rabbi, today is my birthday, Hebrew birthday. So I had to take a break to be with my family.
Well, a very happy birthday to you, and you should have many, many of them.
Amen.
And you should enjoy your family for many, many birthdays. As we welcome in Yitzi Muller, and the Olam is straggling in now. So the Gemara says, and if you're just joining us, we're holding by Malkin ala Chazakais, which is 6 lines from the top of Pei Amud Aleph. Malkin ala Chazakais, we flog because of a presumptive status. Rabbi Yehuda, the Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Huchzakanida b'shcheineseha, if she is assumed to be a nida by her neighbors. In other words, the neighbors all saw her wearing the clothing that she usually wears when she's a nida, and the husband even so went ahead and had relations with her. So although we didn't see that she was bleeding, but there's a chazaka that she is a nida, we will give Bala loika aleh mishum nida. The Bala gets malchus if he sleeps with her. Of course, if he has a reason, and he explains that she was wearing it because the rest of her clothing is stolen, of course, we're not talking about such a situation. Soiklin v'sarfin ala chazakas. Where do we give skila and sreifa for chazaka? K'derabba baravuna. Dam rabba baravuna, ish v'isha, a man and a woman. Tinik v'tinaikis, with a boy and a girl. Shegdilu b'seich habayis, and we saw them grow up as a family, a father, mother, and 2 children. And then the father sleeps with his daughter, Niskolin Zalzeh, we give them skila, V'nisrafin Zalzeh, and if the mother sleeps with her son, which is an Issa Sreifa, we give Sreifa. So although we don't have testimony, but since they grew up together all these years, that's a presumption, and on that presumption, we stone and we burn. Amr Shimon ben Pazi, Amr Shimon ben Levi, Mishum bar Kapara, Ma'isa be'isha shabasal Yerushalayim, there was a woman that came to Yerushalayim, V'tinik Merkav la'al Kseifa, with a child riding on her shoulder, Vigdilasai, and she raised him, and then when he grew up, they slept together, V'yabiyam lebezdim v'saklam, and they brought them to Bezdin, and they stoned them. Here we see a mother that sleeps with a son is skila, a father that sleeps with a daughter is reifa. We don't know for sure, we weren't in the delivery room, because the child was clinging to her and the child grew up with her, so that's a chazaka, and that's an example where we are cycling ala chazaka. However, the ain't surfing truma ala chazakas. We don't burn truma, we will not eat it, but we won't burn truma just because of presumptive status. Damar of Shimon Lakish, Sarfin ala Chazakis. Shimon Lakish says we burn truma if there's a presumptive status. Rabbi Yochanan Amar ain't Sarfin. V'azul l'tamaya. They follow their reasoning. Ditnan tinik shenimtza b'tzad ha'isa. We find a child next to a dough, or batzik biyadai, and he has a piece of the dough in his hand. So we assume, where did he get that dough from? From the dough that's right nearby. Rameir mitar, Rameir declares the dough tar. No, it's the rest of the dough he declares tar. V'chachamim mitam, and the chacham say that the dough is tummy. Now, of course, if he's holding a piece of the dough, then he got it from the dough that's in front of us. So that means he touched it. So why does Rameir say it's tar, and why did the chacham say it's tummy? So the chacham say it's tummy. In those days, they didn't have a lot of toys. It's not like today, where if you don't play with the G.I. Joes, then you'll play checkers. And if you don't play checkers, then you'll play kugelach. It wasn't in those days. If the child wants amusement, he went to the dump, and he got not plastic lizards, but the real thing. Get dead lizards. That was the toy box. So therefore, says the Gemara, the Chachamim are metamim, ibnei shedarkei shel tinik l'tapeach. It's the way of a child to rummage around in the garbage, and therefore he touched one of the shmeina shrotzim, and therefore he's tummy. So the question is, so then what's the reason of Rameir? But my time in the Rameir, why does Rameir hold the dough is tar? So he says, look, the majority of children play around in the dump, and in the dump, therefore, we don't say that maybe he became tummy. The dump was full of tummy. So if he rummaged around in the dump, then he became tummy. That's a certainty. But only the majority of the children rummage around. But there's a miyad of children that don't rummage around. Now this dough is b'cheskes tara. The isa b'cheskes tara, I meant this. This dough has a cheskes tara. So v'smoich miyuta l'chazaka. So attach the miyat of children that don't play in the dump to the chazaka that the dough is tar, and Israel Eruba. And the rive children play around in the dump is weakened. The Rabbanan say, look, since it's only a miyat, we discount the miyat. Rabbanan miyuta command lesser. The miyat is like it's not here, because once we have a rive, we go bust a rive. And therefore it's a rive against the chazaka. Ruba v'chazaka, ruba adif. And therefore it's tameh. So Amar Reish Lakish Mishim Rabbi Ishia. So Reish Lakish says in name of Rabbi Ishia, Zuhi shesarfen aleasa truma. This is a chazaka that we burn truma. Rabbi Yochanan says no, you can't eat it, but we don't burn it. Ein zu chazaka shesarfen alea truma. Where does Rabbi Yochanan agree that there is a chazaka that we burn truma? What chazaka, even according to Rabbi Yochanan, do you burn truma for? So the Gemara says, Kiditanan, you have a dough in the house. Now, today, if you find something dead in your dough, you throw it out. There are a lot of people, you find a dead fly there, I don't want to have anything to do with it, throw it out. But in those days, you didn't throw out food. In those days, you couldn't say, if we don't eat that, we'll eat cake. That's not the way they lived in those days. So, Isa b'seich habayis, there was a dough in the house, u'shrotzim v'tzvardim metaplim sham. There were shrotzim, now, there are shmeina shrotzim that are tomei. Amongst them is a toad, which is pretty similar to a frog. And u'shrotzim u'tzvardim metaplim sham. There were both shrotzim, tummy creatures, and frogs around there. V'nimtzu chatichos be'isa. And you found pieces of limbs in the dough. You don't know, is it the limb of a frog, and that's star, or is it the limb of a toad, a tzav, which is tamei? So the din is im roiv shratzim tameya. If the majority are the tamei species, the tzav, then it's tamei. Im roiv tzvardim, if the majority are frogs, taira. So in that case, in the event that there were the majority of shratzim there, then even according to Rabbi Yochanan, we would burn the truma. Otherwise, if it's only the chazaka we were talking about before, we don't burn truma. We don't eat it, but we don't burn it. And Tanya Kavasi to Rabbi Yochanan, there's a raya to Rabbi Yochanan. Now, we know that we learn out from Saita that a suffix tumah b'rishus yachid is tamei, because here she was alone in room 208, so it was a suffix tumah b'rishus yachid, and we say that until she drinks the bitter water, she's forbidden to her husband. So, but therefore we learn out that what kind of a suffix is tamei in the rishus yachid? Only if it's a davar sheyesh ba dasli shoel. Only if it's someone you could ask, like the Isha Saita, who is intelligent. Yet, Tanya Kavasi Rabbi Yochanan, Shnei Dvarim Ein Bahem Dasli Shal. There are two things that doesn't have Dasli Shal, they're not intelligent, like a little child who doesn't have the intelligence to know what's going on. V'osim Chachamim Kemo Sheyesh Bahem Dasli Shal, and the Chachamim made them forbidden as if they have intelligence. Tinnik, the case of the child, V'oid Acheres. Tinnik, the case of the child, where we said if the child was playing around in the child was found with a piece of dough in his hand, right? And we said that dough is tamei because we assume that the child played around in the dump and therefore touched the dough and made it tamei, even though the child is ein bodas l'shol. So tinikad da amran, va'ira acheres mai. Another case. What's the other case? Isa b'seich habayis. If you have a dough in the house, v'tarnegoyim umashkim tmeim sham, and there's chickens and tummy dika liquid there. V'nimtzu nikurim, and we find nimtzu nikurim be'isa, and we find that there are peck holes in the dough. So the dough was pecked at. So we assume that the chicken drank the tummy dika liquid, then made holes in the dough and injected some of the liquid into the dough. Now, even though chicken is a davar she'ein dasli shal, we say that mesafik it's tummy. Now, but like Rabbi Yochanan says, because of these chazakas, we don't burn the truma. Toilin, we just suspend it. Like Eichel, we can't eat it. Like Sarfin, we don't burn it. Now, when do we say that the dough is assumed when it has holes, that the liquid was injected, the tummy dika liquid was injected? That's only if it's liquid that's not colored. But if it's a reddish liquid, Im isa denakir, if he would have made holes, made the idea. It would have if it would have made holes with the liquid, we would have seen traces of red. So therefore, it must be that it didn't inject liquid. Says the Gemara, but why? Vidilma balasinu isa. Maybe the dough absorbed the red. So could be it was red liquid, but the dough absorbed it, and that's why we didn't see the liquid. Says the Gemara, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Dava zeh shama baribi. This tradition, the great one, Rabbi Shua ben Levi was on Baribi, is a Gadol Adar. Baribi is a terminology of a Gadol Adar. Did the great one, Baribi, hear this, Uperusha lo shmiya, and he did not hear the following parameters? We are taught the parameters. Lo yishanu ela b'mashkim tzlulim. We only taught this with, even if it was red liquid, but the red is clear. Shebavua shel tinik nikerba. So you could see the appearance of a child in it. So therefore, if the red is so clear, then it could be absorbed by the dough without a trace. Aval mashkim akurim. But if it's muddied liquid, if it's dirty liquid, then loy. Then we don't assume the dough to be tamei, because if it would have injected the liquid in, it would have left a trace. Yes?
What does it mean that the image of a child can be seen? Reflection of a child.
What?
What does it mean the reflection of a child can be seen?
Probably because a human being is too big.
And an adult is too
Right. Probably that's why he says it. Now, says the Mishnah, now we're going to learn the halachas of Yichud and Shas. Lo yisyachid adam in shtei nashim. A person shouldn't be alone with two women, because we're afraid that the second woman might say, you know what, I'll have fun also. In other words, the first woman would not be embarrassed to do something in front of the second woman, because the second one might follow suit. Aval isha achas misyachedes im shnei anoshim. But
Sorry.
no, how to stop it?
It's not ringing.
Aval isha achas, but one woman could be misyachedes im shnei anoshim, could be alone with two men, because each of the men would be embarrassed to sin in front of the other man. Rab Shimon says, Af ish echad misyached im shtei nashim. Even one man could be alone with two women when one of them is the wife. Bisman she'ishto imay, where one of them is the wife. By the way, the implication is that that's only two women together with the wife. One woman together with the wife would not be good, even with the wife there. But there's a big machlokes in the Rishonim and the Paiskim, if that's what it means. The Gaon has the Gaon says Taisus says Taisus Rif Ein and Chayna. But anyway, V'yoshni mohem b'puntiki, and then he could sleep with the two women even in an inn, because his wife watches him, and therefore he's not going to come to sin because his wife is there. Misyached odom im imay v'im bitay. A person could be alone with his mother. A father could be alone with his daughter. V'yoshiv imam b'kirav basar. And when they're little, he could even sleep with them, the father with a young daughter, and a mother with a young son, even without clothing. V'im higdilu, but once they're of age, then it shouldn't be unclothed. Zu yeshena b'ksusa, v'zeh yoshem b'ksusa. Everybody should be wearing pajamas. So the Gemara wonders right away, why is it that one man shouldn't be with two women, but a woman could be with two men? My timer. So Tana debei Eliyahu hayul v'noshim daitin kalis aleim. Women are more easily swayed, and therefore, if Chaya and Sarah are both alone with the man, they might might say, I'm going to have fun. My friend might decide to have fun too. So the Gemara says, well, could you clue us in this Isser of Yichud? Where does it come from? So the Gemara says, Minani Mili. I mean, we know you're not allowed to sleep with a person, but how do you know you're not allowed to be alone with them? Amar Rabbi Yochanan Mishim Rabbi Shmuel, Remez Yichud ben HaTorah Minayin. Where do we have a hint to Yichud in the Torah? Shenemar, because by idolatry it says, Ki Yisiska, when you are tempted by Yochicha ben Imecha, by your brother, the son of your mother. Now that's very strange. You're only going to be tempted by the brother, the son of your mother, not the son of your father. V'chi ben ein mesis, only the son of a mother tempts. Ben of einoi mesis, the son of a father doesn't tempt. So this ben Imecha is extra, and it's coming to teach you elaloi malach. It's coming to teach you a hint that Ben could be with the mother. Ben misyachid im imai, a son could be with a mother, but but he's not allowed to be alone with the other forbidden relationships. So there we learn out from Michlal Hey not to Shemei Alav that the son could be with a mother, but not with any other person that's forbidden to him. That's a hint to Yichud in the Torah. So the Gemara says, okay, that's a hint. But why does it say Ki Yisiska Achicha ben Imecha? Why would it say only a maternal brother? Pashte dekra b'maiksiv. What is the simple meaning of the pasuk? Amar Abaya loy miboy kam. It's talking about you shouldn't be seduced to idolatry, and it's building up to a climax. Loy miboy ben av. You certainly should not be seduced by your brother from the same father, because your brother from the same father sometimes has a rivalry with you, because you share the Yerusha, so he doesn't like you. The son Eli, therefore there's an enmity, and therefore you should suspect he's going to give you a bad eitzah. Vayitzle eitzas rois. Elafilo benaim, even if the son of a brother from the mother with is no rivalry, because they don't share a Yerusha, the loy son Eli, so maybe if he gives you advice, you might think to listen to it. Eimatzai, so like Kamash Milan, that even your brother, the son of your mother, who doesn't have it in for you, still if he seduces you to idolatry, you shouldn't listen. By the way, they do also bring here a siman, a remez for Yoshka. Ki Yisiska Achicha is going to be a brother who's going to claim that he's a ben Imecha, that he's only the son of a mother, virgin birth.
I don't think Yoshka made that claim.
Huh?
I don't think Yoshka made that claim.
No, but it'll be a claim. It'll be a claim. Says the Gemara, name a mastis and the loik Abishol. Let's say our Mishnah is not like Abishol. The Tanya kol shloishim yoim yoytzei b'cheik. The first 30 days, if a child dies, Rachmana litzlan, it's carried out in a person's bosom. They don't have to take a box. V'nikbar be'isha achas u'shnei anoshim. Can be buried with one woman and two men. Avaloi be'ish echad u'shtei noshim. But not with one man and two women. Abishol aimer af be'ish echad u'shtei noshim. So you see, Abishol disagrees. He says one man could be alone with two women. He says, you want to know, afilu tema Abishol, it could even be going according to Abishol, but Abishol says normally one man shouldn't be alone with two women, but in a case where there's a dead baby there, and it's a case of grief, they're not going to come to sin. B'shas aninas, when there's a situation of grief, tover yitzrei, that breaks one's passion. However, Rabbanan Savrei, the Rabbanan hold that even so it shouldn't be done. Reb Yitzchak, the Amar Reb Yitzchak, Ma yisoinen odam chai, geber al chatov, and we dash in the pasuk that even when a person is in grief, still afilu b'shas aninasai, that's Ma yisoinen odam, even when a person is in grief, geber al chatov, a person could be overcome by the Yetzer to sin. Yitzrei misgaber olav. Says the Gemara, the Abishol doesn't learn the pasuk that way. Ki ksiv ahu b'misraim al midaisav ksiv. When a person is complaining about his fate. So the Gemara says, Ma yisaynan adam chai. Why should a person moan over his fate? Gavar al chatov. Did he prevail over his sins? Says the Gemara, why is he complaining about his fate? Did he prevail over his sins? And therefore, he should be happy Adam Chai, that he's alive. Did he cover al chatav? Did he prevail over his sins? The Rabbanan say, you're right. And could be, it's true, that if a person is in grief, he's not going to be tempted. But still we don't want it done, because sometimes they'll fake a death in order to be alone. There was an incident that 10 people took out one woman on a stretcher, and they covered her with a sheet, and then they went out and they all sinned with her. So therefore, we don't want to set up a scenario where they could have a fake incident. Avalisha achas, one woman could be alone with two men. Let's just mute everybody here. Okay. It's nice to have Dr. Udell with us. Good to have you. Barish is joining us. It's good to have 26 Zoomers here this evening.
I always thought that Daven HaMelech made the Hilchas Yichud, a lot of these halachas.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. There's a whole progression of how we learn Yichud. Avaliyah achas, but one woman could be with two men. That's only with kosher men. Aval beprutzin, but with wild people, in other words, people that are not respectable people, afilu beyasora nami, even with 10 people, it's not allowed. Have a ma'isa v'itziu asara v'mita. They took 10 people, took out a woman on a stretcher, covered her, and then sinned with her. Amar Rav Yosef, Teda nimechabrei beyasara. You should know that 10 people get together, v'ganvei kshura, and steal a beam. A beam is very heavy. So you need 10 people, and they're doing it together, and they're not embarrassed from one another. So if people are irreputable people, then a woman can't be alone even with a lot of people. They're not embarrassed from one another. So name a Messiah, let's do some proof to the law of Saita. What's the law of Saita? We give the Isha Saita 2 scholars, 2 Talmidei Chacham, to accompany her and the husband to Yerushalayim. Shema Yavoy Aleha B'derech. Lest the husband sleeps with her on the road. And if the husband sleeps with her on the road, the waters won't test her anymore. So it seems to be that we have her alone only with 2 Talmidei Chacham. But if they're not Talmidei Chacham, then even 2 would not be good enough. Talmidei Chacham in Shadal Malay. But regular people not. So you see, even 2 people, it's only if they're ksherim. Says Gemara, no, it's no raya. The fact that we need 2 Talmidei Chacham, that's in order that they know to warn him that if he sleeps with her, the waters won't test. Shani Talmidei Chachamim, the yodei that they know la asruye bay, to give him the proper hasra. Now, Rabbi say, I have decided that I'm going to go weiter because I've been back and forth, vacillating back and forth what to do. I don't want to fall behind before I go to California. I know Motzei Shabbos I won't be able to do 2 blot because it's going to be too late, but maybe we will do Motzei Shabbos 1 blot. So we're going to do another daf now. I know it's a chumash here, but this is an easy daf. It's very interesting, so we're going to go for it.